Bryce, recently, one of your guards went down, Mr. Suggs. Um, what was your first reaction to seeing that he went down with an apparent knee injury, or as the Magic are calling it, a lower leg injury?
Um, it's kind of like the last step of stepping in a cold pool and like getting your whole body in it. So the first step was Gary Harris.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. That first step in the cold pool. Like, it's a few months, nothing too serious. Like, there's a good chance we can expect him back by Thanksgiving, right? Maybe.
Right.
Gary Harris, not not the biggest player on our team, but someone for not having a lot of 3-point shooting, he was important for the Magic. So
Mm.
one was Gary Harris. The next step in the cold pool was Markel Fultz breaking a big toe walking around the fucking house. Um, and once again, Markel Fultz, if you ask me, he is not going to be the best player on the team this year, but I do agree that he is the best player to bring the ball up the court and to set other players up and to know how to run the point guard position. There's no one I trust more on our team to run point guard than Markel Fultz.
Mm.
With that being said, he still can't shoot a three consistently. That's the only thing I have against him. So, right there, we're down Gary Harris, Markel Fultz. You could argue that's our starting 1 and 2. And then this last one, I can't believe that it's not more serious. I'm feel very appreciative that Jalen Suggs didn't break or tear something. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in terms of where he falls on my guard tier list, I believe in Jalen Suggs long term, or I believe in his ability to be a consistent player. But as of right now, what he brought to the team last year, in terms of how he's able to play while being on the court, because he did get hurt for a majority of last season too. Right now, that's not the player I'm most worried about on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with the other guards being hurt, that was the last cold step in the pool for me, though, because all of a sudden we are already not deep at guard in terms of having players who can actually score the ball. I'm not saying Holt can't play point. I'm not saying Jalen Suggs can't eventually be something productive on the court. But what I'm saying is right now they're somewhat limited in what they can do. And so it really comes down to now our starters. There's a good chance it's Cole Anthony and a mixture of, who knows, Terrence Ross, RJ Hampton, or they could just play big and move Browns to the shooting guard spot. I don't know. I don't know, and they're clearly testing out lineups. This offense is going to be real touch and go this year. I still believe in the Magic as a very talented young team with potential, but we're not going to know truly what that potential is for a couple months now until we start getting some of these guards back.
Mm-hmm.
Also, in general, I'm pretty sure, in my opinion, we're going to live and die by our defense this year, actually, because I think outside of few a few guys on offense, it's going to be really tough for this Magic team to score a lot of points. I think there's going to be nights where they look great and then nights where it just looks like, what is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
If Wendell Carter Jr., Paolo Banchero, or Franz Wagner, if two of those three guys don't have good games, I think there's good chances the Magic get blown out some nights. And also, the East is going to be so competitive. Like, we're going to get to that in a minute. It's going to be really hard for them to win some of these games, despite the fact that I do think the Magic are going to be quite a bit better than they were last year. I think they're going to finally show signs of what they're building towards. And I think we're going to see some flashes of greatness. But in terms of the guard situation going forward right now, Jalen Suggs being back, hopefully with the like a month or two. It's just a bone bruise. It's going to just depend on how his body responds. But I wasn't even counting on needing him as much this season. And I know a lot of people think he should start at the 2. I think I think until he gets his shot down, we need to be very careful with how we use Suggs, because we're already going to have a better defensive presence with all our length and size on that end. And that's where Jalen Suggs has the most effect right now. It's his defensive presence. He was great last year on defense, but I'm just worried about our guards being able to make the right reads and knock down their shots. I was already worried about that, and now 3 of our top 4 guards are down. So once again, the injury bug is the biggest issue, I think, in Orlando, because we can't even see what we have. So a lot of disappointment. There's still a lot of excitement and potential with this team, because our front court is so exciting.
Yes.
But once again, I think we're still going to come down to defense and our big men playing well. So we're just going to have to roll with the punches for the first few months until we start getting some of these guards back. But it's disappointing for sure.
Last season, I overshot my win prediction for the Magic. I was really high on you guys. I think I predicted you guys to win 32 games. I think you guys ended up somewhere around 20 or 22, somewhere in there. So I was off. Over under at 28. What do you think?
I would have said before this off season, maybe over by like 2 games or something. I know that's like close, but right now, especially with the way the East is starting to, how we've been saying the East is going to be, but it's got a little bit better, in my opinion. I could see it being more like 26.
Okay.
And the reason is some of these injuries to start is going to hurt. Paolo's going to have some shining games, but in general, like, I don't know how many games he's going to win for us this year. I think we're going to ask a lot of him, especially in the beginning. And I just think it's going to be tough for this team until we get the guards back. It was already going to be tough, but it's going to really be tough until we get those guards back. Let's not forget how good Franz Wagner can be, but he's going to be a second-year player.
Right.
Paolo, rookie. I think Wendell Carter Jr. right now is the best player on this team, and I think he's going to have the best season right now. Behind that, I think Cole Anthony is going to have a great season. He needs to just have the green light to take shots, but he still needs to be a little bit better, I think, at taking those shots. And we're going to very much lean on him to make the right passes in the beginning without Fultz being there. But being a third-year player and being a guy that we've had to lean on heavily in the past because of other injuries, I just think he has a big season. It's his 3rd year in the league. There's a lot of really exciting things going on there, but I'm trying to hold my expectations back until I see what the team looks like when they actually have at least 2 of those 3 guards back that are hurt. So I'm covering my expectations a little bit, despite the fact that I think the Magic are better than what their record's going to show. And last year I wasn't as quick to say that. This year I am. Yeah, and I like the direction. I can clearly, with Paolo being there, there's a clear direction. Like, we have a go-to guy, and that's might have been the hardest thing for us to have found. And despite something catastrophic with him, I think he is the real deal. So I'm expecting some flashes of greatness from him this year.
I think he's going to put up numbers offensively similar to what Dwight Howard did. So not a lot of like 30-point games or 40-point games, but right there between 17 and 19 points per game. I think he's going to give you 8 or 9 rebounds. So he's going to be pretty close to getting a double-double. But depending on how they play Mo Bamba, they're going to be out there fighting for rebounds, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. But I think Paulo's going to do, like I said, between 17 and 19 points, and then about 8 rebounds per game.
Which is, I think, what the betting odds have him around. Like, what they have him at, I think, like 18 and like 6 rebounds, something like that.
Really? Okay. Look,
Last time I heard, I think.
I don't look at betting odds and shit. I just go off my eye test. So if that's correct, then I'm pretty accurate with my prediction. I will say, you have a couple of unknowns. I know how you feel about Jonathan Isaac. It's just that's going to be bonus, if he decides to come back.
Let me say it like right now. Like, I'm a believer in him if he's on the court playing well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a shit either way what he believes. I don't care. I just want him to be on the court and playing well before I even think about him as like a positive on this team. He's like Oladipo, like what we talked about Oladipo for the Heat last year. Wait until you need him. Just make sure he's healthy, and then let him prove it when you need him to prove it, and then you go from there. Like playing and winning, that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate identifier, and whether or not you deserve to be out there. So if he comes in and he helps us, I'm all for it. But until he does that, it's an afterthought for me right now.
Got it. I am in the minority where I'm a little nervous because I think Cole and Jalen Suggs is your backcourt of the future, which would leave out Markelle Fultz. Either they run a 3 guard, or they bring Fultz off the bench. Now, I do understand Magic Nation can't stand that. They love sucking Markelle Fultz's dick for whatever reason. I know you mentioned he can't shoot the 3 consistently. Let's just be real. He can't shoot the 2 consistently still. Okay. He can facilitate and slash to the basket. So, and make free throws. So I just have question marks. And Suggs being out will give more run for Fultz once he gets back from that toe injury, because I believe Fultz might be back first. I still have questions about the backcourt. I think a lot of people have questions about the backcourt. Like, we don't know which way they're going to go. And I think the scary part is your front line is so formidable. You really don't need your front court to do much. But you got a couple of firecrackers on that front court who may not want to defer to the bigs. And I think in order for the Magic to be successful, you have to go to the bigs. You just have to. Like Wendell Carter Jr., Mo Bamba, Paolo, I didn't even mention Franz. You guys have talented big men. And I think the backcourt will need to pull it back just a little bit and facilitate more to the big men. Now, will Jamal Mosley run that type of an offense? I have no fucking idea. Last year, I watched the Magic with a big question mark. But I was like, it's his first year as a head coach. The team's focusing on defense. But it was infuriating watching the Magic run offensive possessions. Maybe, now that he understands that his bigs are probably going to lead him to the promised land, they'll just play a form of old school basketball, slow it down, drop it into the bigs, and let them create. And then the guards will play off of the bigs versus the bigs playing off of the guards. To me, that's best case scenario. But you have to have a conversation because you might have a point guard who we both love that may be a shoot first point guard, and you might have to sit him a little bit and tell him to calm his ass down. I love Cole Anthony to death, but I'm just saying.
Let me say this too, because I've been advocating for Cole in the starting lineup.
Yes.
And a lot of people just like we need to, I guess, get away from the sense of role identity or position identity, because the Magic a lot of teams are going this way, but the Magic have also said they're playing a sense of positionless basketball in a way. Like they already plan on letting Paolo and Franz kind of run the offense from time to time. They're going to experiment, especially with the guards being down. But make no mistake, it's like when I say I wanted Cole in the lineup next to Fultz, it was purely for offense and shooting because of Fultz's limitations. It's not like I don't think there might be a better spot for Cole, because currently built the way our front court is, the way our big men are, they're able to hit threes, they're able to run the offense.
Yeah.
Cole might fit better with a second unit. He could be a sixth man of the year. Like, I'm not saying he's not good enough to be a starter. I'm just saying with our lineups and the way it's going to go, do you want Cole taking all the shots away from Wendell Carter and not even getting a touch? That's what I'm saying. Do you want to have that conversation with Cole where you slow him down and say, "Hey, young man, don't take all these shots," but then you bring in the second unit and you're like, "Man, I could really use him." I'm not saying he's not starting material. I'm
Right.
just saying with what we have, it might work better that way. Because who are you going to tell they shouldn't get their touches? Paolo, Wendell, and Franz, you're going to tell them that? So now you got three guys who you really need to have the ball, or at least touch the ball. But then you have Cole who's wanting to go up and dribble and shoot shots, and I'm all for that.
Mm.
But that might not win us games right now. And I do think we need to try to win games. And they've said they're going to let the offense kind of figure itself out. Like, he's not going to make them, I don't think, for sure, be like, you have to go in there and give the ball to this guy and set plays as much. I think they're going to let the players dictate that. And I'm worried about how that's going to go until they all really get on the same page. I think it's going to be rough until they're all comfortable with it. That's the problem.
We'll see how that plays out.
I'm with you. I think there should be something right now, some structure to set it up, but I don't know if they're going to do that yet.
Yeah, if you have a vet team, that's fine. But for a young team like this, no. I don't. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I don't agree with that mindset. If that's what the Magic are doing, that's asinine to me. So, whatever.